What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. I got a few things to briefly discuss in this video, sorted little bits of news. First of all, though, I want to talk about the Seahawks Forever podcast with Dan Viens. I did do a collaboration video with him over there. It's up now on his channel, so if you search on YouTube for Seahawks Forever podcast or Dan Viens, Viens, should come up. We talked for about 45, 50 minutes about this draft, about strategies, about certain players. We looked at a mock draft that had been done by an expert. A full 7 round mock draft, actually, for every team in the league, which was pretty bold undertaking. So we took a look at that. We talked about strategies. We talked about certain players. So go check that out. It's on his channel. I'll post a link to the specific video in the description, but you should go over to his channel and sub him and find him that way anyway. So, yeah, did that video earlier today. It is up on his channel now, so go check that out. Um, yeah, that's just, I wanted to give him a shout out. It was a great show. He did a great job. He does great stuff over there. So definitely check out what he's doing. Um, Seahawks news. We do have a little bit of Seahawks related news as well. Nothing super pressing, but I was looking at the NFL calendar here on the website for NFL operations. I was looking at the calendar, and according to this, today is actually the deadline for teams to visit or interview or examine draft eligible players at the club facility. So I looked at that and I was like, I think that means today would be the final deadline for top 30 visits, right? Now we can still meet with players, but I don't believe it qualifies as a top 30 visit if you are actually going to meet with them at a different location. The top 30 visits are for guys coming into the club facility. So if this is correct, and I think that it is, that means the top 30 visit deadline is later tonight. So at this point, the Seahawks have probably done all the top 30 visits they're going to do. They probably used all of them. Now, I made that video about our first 20 top 30 visits. And to my knowledge, there's been one more that we've been informed of since then. Spencer Rattler, we met with him, according to Rappaport. This is new to me. He was not included on the initial list, even though this tweet is over a week old. But that gets us to 21. So either we just didn't use some, or some got used without us knowing. And I think that's far more likely the case, that they were used and it just didn't get out to us. Because really, when we as fans learn about top 30 stuff, it's not coming from the team. It's because the player usually posted something on Instagram or X that, hey, I'm in this city to meet with this team. Like, they tell you about it a lot. The team isn't out there updating you every day with like, oh, we met with this guy, we met with that guy. It's a little more informal than that. So the odds are good that we just are unaware of some of the guys that we met with, and maybe we'll be made aware of that in the coming days. But to my knowledge, we know of 21 visits with the Seahawks club facility from draft eligible players. And yeah, I think we're probably done. So the 9 that we don't know, just kind of waiting for more information there. We can still meet with drafted players or players that will be drafted, but it won't be on site. It won't be here at the VMAC. It'll be somewhere else, presumably. That deadline is not until the day before the draft, down here on April 24th. But it is worth noting that we only have about 70% of the picture with these top 30 visits. Usually you would have usually I feel like you get a little bit more than that, but they're playing things a little bit close to the vest maybe. I don't know. But yeah, as near as I can tell, the top 30 visits are done. Maybe we'll find out after the fact about some of these visits. All right. There's one other thing that I saw that caught my attention that was actually pretty interesting. I saw this from a couple different places, but I got it on screen from Kleiman, Dov Kleiman here on X. Rashaad Penny. Rashaad Penny in Seattle for a free agent visit. Our old buddy Rashaad Penny. This is definitely going to get some people to feel a certain way. This is definitely going to activate some pretty interesting reactions. Even though this guy is very, very low level at this point, it would definitely be veteran minimum. It would definitely be as a fourth running back behind the three guys that we already have. And realistically, he might not even make the 90-man roster. Now, if you're just bringing him in because you're planning on making him part of that 90-man roster for the offseason, then there's nothing really to talk about. You can't really go that wrong with pretty much anyone you sign to be on your 90-man roster. You've got a lot of spots to fill out. You're going to have to take on some guys that are pretty unappealing, right? That's just the way it works. The guys who are appealing are going to go to teams that they think they're more likely going to have a chance on. So there may be a couple of Rashaad Pennies in the mix when we're trying to put together this full 90-man. So I get that. But I will say this, because obviously when you bring back Rashaad Penny, you're not going to talk about him necessarily as just a throwaway pickup for the offseason. You are going to talk about him as an NFL player because he's played in the NFL before extensively and actually had some really good moments in this league. While he was in Seattle, he was among the league leaders in yards per carry average when he played. He just didn't play very much. So I understand that people are going to look at him through that lens and they're going to hold him to a different standard than just a typical camp body. But there's every reason to believe that the injuries that he has piled up in his career so far have just kind of taken his career off the rails. In Philadelphia, he barely played. There were reports that he had absolutely no explosiveness left, and they just felt like he was virtually unplayable. And that's not just buzz from camp. They didn't play him very much during the season. So they believed that clearly. I mean, they signed him, right? They picked him up. They put him on their team. They would have probably played him at some point if they thought he was worth playing, but they never did. So Rashaad Penny, if you're thinking about picking him up because you think he's going to be something, I think that would be a mistake at this point. I think that's unrealistic. At this point, he's probably just kind of a lost cause. It sucks. I feel for him because it's mostly just been the injuries. I don't doubt his abilities on the field when he is out there, but dude cannot stay healthy, and it seems like the injuries have piled up to the point where he's just not going to be able to be much of anything. So if you're picking him up with that expectation, I think that's a clear mistake. So don't go too far with it is all I'm saying. If you want to sign him for the offseason, of course I have no problem with that. No issue with that whatsoever. But you are better off getting somebody in the 6th or 7th round of this draft. You are better off going after the Tyrone Tracy. You are better off going after Blake Watson. You are better off with maybe even a Frank Gore Jr., who I'm pretty sour on now. But interesting news nonetheless. Wanted to spend some time on that one because I know that's going to get some people... It's going to get some people talking. All right, so, yep, top 30 visits are done. We just need to find out what the other 30% of them were because we only have about 2/3. Well, actually, I guess it would be about 70%. 21 out of 30 would be, yeah, about 70%. Okay, let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you think about all this. Check out the video I did with Dan Viens of Seahawks Forever. And go check out his channel. And I will see you guys later tonight on Twitch or tomorrow here on YouTube.